Right guys, so we're back in the sim for part 2 of our video, and what we're doing is I've actually switched off that VSync. So in the previous video I had VSync, I told you guys to switch on VSync. So we're here in part 2 and I haven't got VSync active at the moment, but what I want to do is I want to just demonstrate some of the issues that most of us are having, and that's pretty much when it comes down to taxiing or takeoff or approaches. So I'm just going to taxi off of the runway here for a moment, release the park brake, and watch what happens. I know we're taking a real quick detour here, but the moment I start to pan, watch my terminal building in the background there. It's very jittery. Okay, wherever we're going now, it's jittery. And the thing is, you know, we've got these high frames, but we're not getting that smoothness. Look at the jitter that we've got just turning here. When we point our aircraft straight and we give it a little bit of a thrust, you can see everything seems smooth. It all looks okay until the point that we have to turn. So watch this. So I'm going to make a little sharp left turn here quickly, just follow this taxiway, but watch that fire station building in the background there. Everything's just a stutter, okay, and it's not such a nice experience. Now some guys have said, you know, restart the aircraft again. It does take some of the stutters away, but not everything. Okay, this is with VSync off at the moment. So let's do another turn to our right here, and you can see that our terminal building is flickering and it's jittering a little bit there. As we start doing these little turns, that's what we're experiencing. Now if I go really slowly, it looks okay, but there's that little pause and stutter in every turn. So let's just stop our aircraft here for a moment, and I'm going to bring up my main menu and I'm going to go to general, and I'm going to switch this back on. Okay, so we've got VSync on, and the default is set to 60, and that doesn't help us. Okay, so I'm going to keep it on here, and I'm going to have 60 frames a second. Now there's no ways I'm reaching 60 frames a second at the moment in this, in this sim. So we are going to get rid of some of the stutters a little bit by doing so. I just want to do another little turn here. As you can see, it's not doing anything, and that's just because we're not actually reaching those 60 frames a second to cap the sim, so it's not doing anything. And this is probably why guys have been saying, oh, VSync is broken, it doesn't do anything. Guys, you can't VSync at 60 frames, it's just pointless. Okay, it's not doing anything. So let's just go back here again and watch this. I'm going to set that frame rate limit to 30 FPS, and all my other settings is exactly the same as I described in the first video. Alright, so let's resume here. Now watch this. Instantly, as I pan around, even with my camera view here, there was a little bit of a stutter, but that's just because of the recording software. But watch now, I'm going to start taxiing again here, and you're going to see how much smoother it is. Okay, let's get a bit of power here. It takes a moment for the sim to settle into its new refresh rate, but look at that. That is chalk and cheese difference, guys. Okay, I'm going to have a little bit more power to, or a bit more thrust to our aircraft here. I'm going to do a very sharp turn, just to prove my point that it looks a lot smoother, which it is. And this is where I'm having fun. Okay, look at how jitter free that is. Okay, even that crazy sharp turn that I just done now. Okay, what we're going to do is we'll head down to the runway in a moment, and I'll do a quick takeoff roll. Okay, perhaps we'll even do a little bit of a window view here, because wing view, because some folks have said there's a lot of stutters in wing views as well, which I totally agree with. Let's climb outside the aircraft, go to showcase, and go to, I think it's camera 9. Okay, so here is another wing view here of the terminal building, and as you can see, we are passing it nice and smooth. I think our guys at Aerosoft need to do something about this wing. It's like bouncing up and down for whatever reason. Oh, maybe it does. I'm not sure. Maybe it's supposed to in real life. But look how we are just taxiing on by the terminal building here, and it's nice and smooth. And of course, I've got that nice motion blur, and you can see it in the tarmac over here. Let's change into the other wing view. I think it's 10. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so we've got this nice, beautiful, smooth transition as well. Look, as I start to turn my aircraft, there isn't any jitters at all gone. Okay, like I said, if you do see anything here that's pausing now and again, that's just down to the recorder fighting away for the sim. Okay, otherwise I've got nice smooth frames here. Okay, let's climb outside of the aircraft here, and even then, when I do a little pan around here using the hat view on my joystick, everything is beautifully smooth. And this is what we want in a sim. We don't need crazy high frames per second. It's not a shoot 'em up game. This is a sim. Okay, and we're just going to taxi on a little bit further down here. I've got a little bit more runway to work with to take off. But as you can see, as we pass these terminal buildings here, everything is nice and smooth as it should be. Okay, I'm back in the cockpit here, and as you can see, all those little turns that we make are nice and smooth. They haven't got those little stutters. Okay, and I'm really loving this idea. You know, I can make these quick sharp turns and not have my scenery kind of lag behind. Okay, so this is how I've gotten rid of that lag, and of course I've optimized my sim for a nice smooth frame rate. Okay, let me make a little turn over here. Just to recap on the settings here, or sorry, my setup as such. I am working with a 2080 Ti RTX, and it's not clocked or anything like that. I haven't got any crazy MSI afterburners, etc. And then of course my CPU is a 5 GHz Intel. Sorry, it's the i9 9900. I did that taxiway a little bit wrong there. Doesn't matter. It's an i9 9900K. It's clocked at 5 GHz. So I'm trying to get the maximum performance there as well. But look how smooth that turn is. Look at those buildings. They're not jittering and stuttering and stammering and everything like that. Let's just get myself a little bit lined up on this runway here. Excuse me. And what we're going to do is add some flaps here. So this thing isn't going to scream at us when we... toga, and we are rolling down the runway, and it's beautifully smooth. And as you see, as that motion blur kicks in, it looks really nice, and the frames are smooth, and everything looks really good. And what we do is, when we get in the air, you know, we'll be able to do a couple of turns, and you'll see how nice and smooth things are there. As I rotate off the end of the runway here, you'll see how beautifully smooth that transition is. And I'm just gonna come out onto the left side of my aircraft here, and you can see those buildings are passing us by, beautiful and smooth, no issues at all. Okay, let's gear up and flaps up, and what we'll do is I'll just bring back my power here and trim my aircraft for a climb over here. Climbing away from Vienna, and look at that, folks. It's just really nice and smooth. Okay. One of the things I do have here, which might be eating frames too, is that I got the draw distance in the trees quite far out. Okay. One of those mods in my mod folder. But as you can see, we've got a nice, beautiful, smooth simulator. And as I look out the left-hand side here, you can see that the scenery and the terrain is really passing us nice and smoothly. what I'm going to do is, another place that we usually see those little frame drops is when we do a turn, but as I do this turn here, we can see it's beautiful and smooth. As I look down towards the ground here, I see some cars on the road there, but everything is beautifully smooth, guys. And this is what we want in the sim. We don't need those high frame rates. I'll do a little bit of a wing wobble here, and you can see there is utterly no stutters. So there you have it, folks. I hope this has been helpful. Just go back to part 1. This is part 2 of the 2-part series of this. I know we've spent a lot of time here, but I just wanted you guys to see what I see. And again, just to remind you that if you do see any little stutters now and again in the video, that's just the video software trying to keep up. You know, obviously the CPU and GPU is being dedicated to the flight sim itself, but obviously now you're adding another layer of usage on that CPU and the GPU, so it may dip now and again. But as you can see, this is just fantastic. Right, guys, so thank you very much for tuning in today, and we'll see you in the next flight. Ciao for now.